emotions run high. And I've been trying really hard just to keep a level head and stay focused, and not necessarily, get sidetracked with all of these people targeting and gang stalking and slandering online and trying to implicate or involve me in these dramas, or any of my friends for that matter. The best way that I've found to avoid these people are trying to do, get you sucked into court cases and all of that stuff, is to just document. So that's what I've been doing. I try to document everything in my blog, Porthole to Justice, The Window to the Truth. And I don't know, like, some of these people are really offended by the name Porthole. And I don't know if they don't know the English language very well, but porthole is a window, a maritime window, on a boat, or it sheds light on the truth. So that would explain, porthole, which is spelled Porthole, not, I think they are misunderstanding porthole for portal. Portal is Portal, and that is to a different dimension. And I think they're getting the two words confused somehow, or maybe they just don't have an understanding. So yeah, those that are emailing me complaining about the name of my blog, the reference is a porthole as a window on a nautical ship, which allows light to come into the ship or the hull of the ship. So it's a maritime term, a nautical term. And so that's why I named the blog Porthole to Justice, to shed light on some dark topics. Anyways, okay, I am going to go ahead and get Aleah Holland on with us. She is an author of the book A Little Lynch. It is available on Amazon. All right, let's go ahead and try and give her a call.
Hey, Amelia.
Hi, welcome. We're live.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Oh, okay. We are live. I was just sharing about your book, A Little Lynch, and a little bit about your activism. Do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? I'm 44 years old. Okay. Aleah, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York City. Yes, which is a very important city because, our city controlled the country and our city controlled the world. I went to school for registered nursing when I was 16 years old. And I'm like a talented and gifted child mostly all my life. So I have special gifts. I've noticed it's good to have these gifts now. I didn't like them when I was younger, but I have special gifts. Okay, so moving right along. Since I was 16, I started my first non-for-profit organization. It was called Our Time to Shine, and that was focused on helping foster children, and mainly foster children because my mom fell victim to the crack epidemic, and I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother took custody of us when she was 60 years old, since I was a little girl, and trauma. I had a traumatic childhood. Which I think
also enhances our gifts, right?
Yes. Yeah, I had a traumatic childhood. My dad was an MK Ultra. He was experimented on as a child, And I was told all my life that all the mental illnesses that was induced in him through MK Ultra that I would inherit because I was his child. So I was always like, pretty like targeted as a child.
Yeah.
Because my grandmother took me to all of these different psychiatrists. Like if, like for instance, if I became upset, I had to go see doctors and stuff because she just wanted to make sure that I wasn't triggered into any type of hereditary, which is a hoax, hereditary mental illness. All multiple personality disorder. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was diagnosed with manic depressant. I wrote a book about 15 years ago. It was called Beat Turning Pain into Power. I don't really promote it anymore because I'm going to republish it, and I have to republish it. When I wrote the book, I was blatant. I put names in there, like my family, my sisters, and them, because I was like, it's a true story, and I'm going to put it out. So I did that, and I really, at 15, 16 years later, it's not necessary. I could write a book without them, and I didn't feel comfortable at that stage in my life where I was with them. I don't feel comfortable promoting a book that I basically told a lot of family secrets, and I'm past that. Like, I'm better than that. So anyway, I always I was what you call like a whiz kid. And I was skipped 2 times. I could have been skipped multiple times in grades and stuff like that because of my intelligence or whatever. And so I always, when I started my not-for-profit at 16, I was because of my mom, my family always like if they, like, my grandmother never did it, but like my aunts or my cousins, I was raised in a big family household. And if they get mad at me, they were like, "Oh, we're going to throw you in foster care. Oh, we're going to throw you in foster care."
That's the same stuff my mom
she didn't
and
do
her family would say to me. And my kids as well. They would target my kids. And that was always the threat in my home, was foster care.
Right. So I know this is a divine purpose for me. Like, I'm probably one of those, I was talking about this yesterday, I'm probably one of those indigo children that came down here to save the planet. I'm not like I'm Black, I'm African, I'm American. My family been on this continent for thousands of years. I used to do book reports on that since we was a child. I didn't know how important it was until our heritage today, being that everybody's saying we come from Africa, but my family been in America for thousands of years. So I'm American, and I came down here, like, I feel like my purpose, like, my avatar is Black, but my soul and my spirit, when children are being harmed, it doesn't matter the color. People reach out to me for help and assistance. I never like, "Oh, this is a white person, this is a brown person." Like, that's like really, kind of like retarded to me. Yeah, and I don't even I don't know if because I'm Black, but I can't process like racism. And when you study racism, unfortunately, racism is connected to, before there was racism, the foundation of racism and the etymology of racism is Satanism. So I don't want to even, yeah, it really is. So I don't, racism was invented in the 1900s. So I don't even, can process like how human beings are like that. But the God that sent me to this planet to do work and have a purpose-driven life, as they say, sent me here to save children on the planet.
And you're boldly exposing these agendas against the children. In fact, I was talking about some of the issues in the children and family courts at the top of the show. These judges that are targeting good families, traumatizing the children by placing them in abusive homes, and contriving poverty and homelessness with these parents. with the intent of promoting human trafficking. You just did a show last night about the title of the show, and I was listening in a little bit, was ritualistic pedophilia, sex magic, and soul stealing. The children, they're scalping their souls, basically.
Spirit cooking their souls.
Yeah, spirit cooking. And these are controversial topics, right? But the writing is on the wall, and people are starting to recognize these issues more and more. And I'm hoping we can get into that today.
Okay. So when like I said, I've always been in the family court CPS industry because of my threats as a child. And then when I was 16, I started volunteering for, because I wanted to be a registered nurse. And they said, you have to do community service. So I started volunteering for numerous children organizations that dealt with foster care children. And I always heard, they were like falling by the wayside. They were falling through the cracks. This was happening, that was happening. And I could never really process it. It always bothered me furiously how these, I remember about 2007, it was like so many children in foster care were ending up in prostitution. Boys and girls are being raped, and I'm like, how? Not just foster care. I'm talking. We only narrow it down to foster care, but this is the family law court systems. All of the systems that are in place is foster care, it's divorce, it's adoption, it's forced adoption. It's just not foster care. It's all of these different parenting programs, supervised concentration camps. So they call them supervised visitation. It's a plethora of programs inside of family court, not just foster care, that are sex trafficking children. So I couldn't understand, like, what the hell is going on? So being that I wanted to know more, God, I feel, put me in a situation to know more. My ex, who was very, I have a child with a man that was very abusive, mentally unstable. And in order for him to stay out of jail, he offered my child up to family courts MK Ultra trauma-based mind control program. So now, I can relate we were to that. So
I've been fighting that myself.
2009 to 2019, I'm now realizing that all of the MK Ultra programs that they were doing in the Catholic Church prior to this, there were all of the MK Ultra, which is like, we gotta just call it what it is. It's like satanic ritual abuse, white voodoo programs, because I call it psycho voodoo. A lot of the psychiatry they use is basically mind control, voodoo brainwashing, and it makes no sense. Like, you have, like, for instance, that hoax diagnosis is called parental alienation syndrome. And most of the children that are sex trafficked, say like in divorce court, they get that parental alienation syndrome. First of all, it's a hoax diagnosis. It's a Jedi mind trick, and it's a mind war, because you're sex trafficking children under fake diagnosis. I don't understand it. So I was trying to figure out, and all my research kept going back to Hitler. All my research kept going back to MK Ultra. Then if I went back further, it started going into Satanism. It started going into Freemasonry. It started going into the Rosicrucian. It just all interlinks and connect. Of course, these are, when we call it, it's called the Illuminati slave making formula. MK Ultra is also known as the Illuminati slave making formula, and what family court is doing is creating a Manchurian race. So they're picking up where Hitler left off, where they're putting children through various types of trauma. Some children get traumatized a little. Some children get traumatized a lot. And some children will break into different personalities and become a Manchurian with just a little trauma. Some children will have a lot of trauma and they won't break. Mm-hmm. But, so, but later,
I haven't been,
I
I haven't